In this tutorial, you will learn how you can use this formula to create a really strong random password with Make.com to, for example, create an account somewhere else with that safe password. So this is the scenario that I prepared for you. So we're going to get some data from somewhere with a name and an email address. We want to create an account for that person. And then we're going to use the set variable module to create a random password that is really strong. And then in my example, I want to create a user in WordPress, but of course you can also use this for like another tool or platform somewhere else. So let's create this from scratch, then you can really see how that works. So we have this webhooks module over here, and this is the data that we're going to get. So we have a name and an email address. So let's create an account for John in WordPress with that strong password. So what we want to do is we want to add another module, and we want to add the set variable module, and this module allows us to create a variable, in this case password, that we can then use later on in the WordPress module. Now then, a very simple not so safe password would be, if we do this, random multiplied by 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, this for example. Then we round this up and we click save again. And then let's test this. And then you see again, we got the name. And then this was the password that was created. And every time you will see that this is another password, but this is not very strong. It's probably very easy to hack. It's just like a 10-digit number. We want to use alphabetical characters, we want to use numbers, and we want to use special characters. So how are we going to do that? So you can go over to this page over here that I'll put in the description below, and you can, for example, copy all these characters that we are going to need. So as you can see, these are uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, and then special characters. Now then the first thing that we want to do is we want to copy this and we want to remove it again. And then we're going over to the text functions, and over here you find the split function. And the split function allows us to basically split all these characters up into an array. An array is basically like a list of items. So we're going to create a list of all these characters. And then here we want to have split, have all the characters pasted there. And then after the semicolon, we want to add empty string, which you can also find underneath the text functions. So I add this in here. And then we're not done yet, but I will just show you one by one what that does. So I click here save, click here run once. And then you see now we have here an array, which again is just a list of all, in this case, the characters. So you just see here A, B, C, D. So they're still all in the same order, right? So we cannot do anything with that yet. What we want to do is we want to go over to the working with arrays functions, and we want to look for shuffle. Shuffle, it also says that, lets us randomly shuffle that list, in this case the characters. So we go here, shuffle, and then we paste our function from before in there, we click save, and then we're not done yet, but let's again just test what happens over here. So we have here our password array, which now still has all the same characters, so 70 characters in total, but now they're all in a random order. So now what we want to do is we want to put these back together into a string, into like a text. So we click on this, we copy all of this again, we remove it again, and then we go over to the join function, which you can find underneath the arrays as well. So here we paste this in here. Then it asks us after the semicolon to add a separator, but there is no separator. So we go again over to the text functions and we say here, okay, I want the empty string. Click save. We're still not done yet, but we're really close. Then we click here, run the module, and then you see now that we have password, and now we have all the characters, but now shuffled into like a random order. Now, you probably do not want to have like, what was it, 70, 80 character long password. It's very safe, but some tools will probably not even allow you to use that. So we remove this, and then we go over to the text functions, where we look for the substring function. And the substring function, you'll see an example over here, allows us to get a certain portion of a text. Maybe you see where we're going with this. So here we now paste our complete function from before, and then after the semicolon, we say 0, which basically means we want to have the very first character. And then it depends a bit on how long you want your password to be. If you want to have a password that is 12 characters long, just say here 12. So what that does now is it will get the very first character till the 12th character, click save, and then we say here run this module only, and then you see now that we have our strong random password that is different every single time. Like we can run this as often as we want, but we always have our characters shuffled into this random password. So again, what happened is that we have this list, we split all the characters up into an array, then we shuffle the array, then we put the array together again into a string, into a text, and then we said, okay, we only want to have the first 12 characters. And if you want to have a longer password, you just, for example, change this to 16, and then boom, now we have a 16 character long password. Now then, you can do whatever you want with it, but for example, we could create a WordPress user. So we look here for create a user, and then username, I for example say here, that's going to be this, the email that's going to be that, and then here you see the variable from the set variable module, password, click save over here, click save, and now we can test the whole thing. So here you see that we got the data, so in this case this is the user we want to create, then this password was created, and then a user was created with this email address, this password, and this username. Super duper handy. I was really struggling with figuring out how to create this strong password. You even have like external API services that do this for you, but I found it a bit silly. I rather just have this within Make. So I hope this is helpful. I put the examples in the description below. And if you want to learn more about the random numbers, then I think this tutorial is also really interesting, where I will show you how to create all kinds of different numbers that you can use for different things.